and you are now tapped in with Dragon Canoe. We are steadily rowing and we are constantly flowing. All praise to the Most High above. Allow. Are you the dracons, dragons found here in America? O Jacob. So Isaac sent for Jacob and blessed him. He instructed him, saying, You shall not take a wife from among the Canaanite women. Up, go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take a wife there from among the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. May El Shaddai bless you, make you fertile and numerous, so that you become an assembly of peoples. May you and your offspring be granted the blessing of Abraham, that you may possess the land where you are sojourning, which your power assigned to Abraham. Then Isaac sent Jacob off, and he went to Padan Aram, to Laban, the son of Bethuel, the Aramean, brother of Rebekah, mother of Jacob and Esau. When Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him off to Padan Aram to take a wife from there, charging him, as he blessed him, You shall not take a wife from among the Canaanite women, and that Jacob had obeyed his father and mother and gone to Padan Aram. Esau realized that the Canaanite women displeased his father Isaac. So Esau went to Ishmael and took to wife, in addition to the wives he had, Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, son of Abraham, sister of Nebaioth. Jacob then left Beersheba and set out for Haran. He came upon a certain place and stopped there for the night, for the sun had set. Taking one of the stones of that place, he put it under his head and lay down in that place. He had a dream. A stairway was set on the ground, and its top reached to the sky, and messengers of the Most High were going up and down on it. And standing beside him was Hawah, who said, I am your power, the most highest of hosts, the power of your father Abraham's house, and the power of Isaac's house. The ground on which you are lying I will assign to you and to your offspring. Your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread out to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. All the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you and your descendants. Remember, I am with you. I will protect you wherever you go and will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, Surely is present in this place, and I did not know it. Shaken, he said, How awesome is this place! This is none other than the abode of my power, and that is the gateway to heaven. Early in the morning, Jacob took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up as a pillar and poured oil on the top of it. He named that site Bethel, but previously the name of the city had been Luz. Jacob then made a vow, saying, If my power remains with me, protecting me on this journey that I am making, and giving me bread to eat and clothing to wear, and I return safe to my father's house, Hawah shall be my power, and this stone, which I have set up as a pillar, shall be Hawah's abode. And of all that you give me, I will set aside a tithe for you. We're talking episode number 48. The Most High is great. Let me know what you think. We're going to jump right into it. We're talking mound builders, mound towns, mound city. We're talking about you, O Jacob. First off, I thought this picture pretty much illustrated what we're going to get into today. We're talking mound cities. You see how they depict the mound burials. You got the horse and buggy people, but you got all these so-called Nagas digging up this mound pit. Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. In the early hours before sunrise, for part of each year, the planet Venus shines as a morning star. To the ancient Maya and others, this morning star was a god, the sun carrier, they say, created to transport the sun into the world of people. When seen later in the year as the evening star, Venus was considered a feminine god, they say. She appeared then with the setting sun, a harbinger of the night and the netherworld beyond the horizon. 1,000 years ago, the morning and evening stars were central players in an American Indian drama. And this drama was at the heart of a place we now call Cahokia, ancient America's one true city. Again, I really wanted to use these pictures to help illustrate the depth, if we will, the lengths at which the horse and buggy people will go to discover things unknown to them in a land far, far away. We're talking 1897 excavation of the Carriage Factory Mound in southern Ohio. Nowadays, one can barely see the stars at night from St. Louis. Still, Cahokia sits silently, awaiting the almost 300,000 visitors who come to the site each year. We're talking a tourist attraction here. Cahokia, St. Louis, taking in its grass-covered mounds, vast open spaces, and large watery burrow pits. They ponder the lives of the original inhabitants of North America's largest pyramidal mound complex, centered by what is, in fact, the third largest pyramid in the entire New World. Ain't nothing small about it. Again, deep archaeological deposits have been uncovered at several sites in eastern Tennessee, including Ice House Bottom, where they date back to early archaic times, they say. Or are we talking as little as 200 years ago? Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. At one time, there were more than 200 packed earth pyramids or mounds. With reference to the four sacred directions in the upper and lower worlds. At its height, Cahokia had a population in excess of 10,000, with at least 20 or 30,000 more in the outlying towns. Farming settlements that range for 50 miles in every direction. St. Louis has some of the biggest and most important ancient American monuments, which were leveled to make way for new developments. We're talking highways and parks. The large Robbins Mound in Kentucky was dug in 39 and 40, they say, by a WPA crew. We're talking Works Progress Administration, put together to uncover and unlock your secrets. Oh, Jacob, let me know what you think, man. Leave a note in the comments. Everything we need to know might just be right under your feet. 5 mounds were destroyed in St. Louis before the Civil War. 45 more were taken down across the river in East St. Louis, including the second largest, removed by steam shovel in 1930. In the 1800s, most people knew that the ancient earthen mounds were the works of human hands, but surprisingly few suspected that they had been built by American Indians, they say. Some believe that a lost race of civilized, non-Indian mound builders had constructed these impressive tumuli. These mysterious mound builders, they thought, must have been wiped out by the later warlike American Indians, or perhaps they migrated to Mexico to found the great civilizations of the Aztec and Maya. We're just staying in check, searching for the Melchizedek. A large cache of copper artifacts, we're talking copper artifacts and copper-colored cons, found here in America. These artifacts were found in Mound 25 at Hopewell when it was excavated over a century ago. Again, we're talking horse and buggy people here. What remains of Cahokia is 3,200 acres of great pyramids, spacious plazas, thatched roof temples, houses, astronomical observatories, and planned neighborhoods suffers from deterioration. The core of the site is preserved within a state park. Again, we're talking highways and parks here. The rest is wedged between modern highways or buried beneath factories and houses in the greater St. Louis metro area. Much has been lost. Again, mounds within the Army's Camp Sherman in Ohio, a site now known as Mound City, were excavated in the 1920s. Excavations were conducted alongside and even under barracks. Again, peep the scene here. We're talking lost tribes and promised lands, the seed of Abraham, buried beneath your feet, O Jacob. We're talking factories, highways, state parks built right over the top of these monumental feats. Take, for example, the case of Spiro, Oklahoma. A group of men formed a company to loot the large mounds of this pre-Columbian town near the Oklahoma-Arkansas border. They found what a later archaeologist dubbed the Great Mortuary, the richest single deposit of burial goods ever unearthed in the United States. Let that sink in. At the time, a reporter for the Kansas City Star called it a King Tut tomb in the Arkansas Valley. And I quote, a King Tut tomb in the Arkansas Valley. Given the great hoard of cultural objects buried there, it seemed likely that a powerful pharaoh and a great population must have lived in the rural Arkansas River Valley ages ago. Again, we're talking 200 years, 300, maybe 400. Powerful pharaoh must have lived in the rural Arkansas River Valley. Again, let that sink in. The people of this North American city seem to have created their own culture, then proceeded to spread it across the Midwest. Some archaeologists have compared to those of the Olmec, the so-called mother cultures of Mexico and Peru. Another theory is that Cahokia's culture was directly inspired by such Latin American archetypes, with the Cahokian gods and supernatural beliefs possibly being borrowed from Mexican religions, they say. Of the North American variety, as the Mississippian culture or civilization, named after the river along which it sits, most of its known sites, again, we're talking Mississippian. Again, Mississippi. You got Crooks and Marksville, Lake Gregory, Toltec, Pinson, Gibson and Clunk, the Elizabeth and Napoleon Hollow, Trimpalo, Fort Ancient and Pollock and Stubbs, Anderson, Robbins, Mount Horeb, Serpent Mound. The list goes on and on. I'm talking Mississippian here. The Spanish and French arrived in the 16th and 17th centuries. They documented the descendants of the Mississippians and observing religions centered on earth and sky gods, including the morning and evening stars. They also link in other ways ancient northern North America to Mexico, and they connect the history of the United States to the greater history of the pre-Columbian America. Indeed, the oldest pyramids in the New World we now know were built not in Mexico or Peru, but astride the bayous and backwaters of the lower Mississippi River. We're talking about the Delta devils, they say. The lower Mississippi River, one of the earliest settled towns in the New World, featuring one of the largest earthen mounds ever built in North America, was the unprecedented center of Poverty Point in northeastern Louisiana. Again, we're talking Watson Break Poverty Point here, northeastern Louisiana. We're just connecting the dots, staying in check, searching for the Melchizedek. Let me know what you think. Of these, the best known and biggest was a place along the Arkansas River near present-day Little Rock named Toltec Mounds. We're talking Toltecans, the Toltec Mounds. The Toltec site is an impressive place to visit, with 2 of its 18 four-sided earthen stage mounds, or pyramids, reaching heights of 40 to 50 feet. All of these are crowded into a 100-acre space, bounded on one side by a bayou and surrounded on the others by a semicircular ditch and earthen embankment. We're talking the Toltec site in Arkansas. Including these 2 large ones, the site is open to the public. On that morning, again, we're talking supernovas here, recorded by a Chinese astrologer. A brilliant new luminary appeared in the sky, one of only 50 supernovas ever recorded, only 3, they say, in our own Milky Way. This nuclear detonation, was the last gasp of a dying star. The inaudible explosion discharged 1 billion times more energy than the small star had previously emitted. 4 times brighter than Venus, appeared in the daylight adjacent to a crescent moon. Ancient rock art in Arizona also appears to illustrate the supernova, as do petroglyphs in Missouri, which show the moon and supernova astride rabbit tracks. And in Chaco Canyon, New Mexico, a map of the night sky was painted on the sandstone cliffs above a palatial-sized multi-story great house called Penasco Blanco. We're talking Penasco Blanco, an unexcavated great house, has a unique oval design in a spectacular natural setting with a tremendous view from West Mesa. Penasco Blanco. The pictograph shows the exploding star next to a crescent moon in a human hand, the latter possibly representing a group of stars, still known among Plains Indians today as the Hand Constellation. I say the Hand Constellation. An underground ceremonial building now called Casa Rinconada, just south of the largest great house. It is noted for its many astronomical alignments. Again, we're talking sun, moon, and stars. The Hand Constellation. An elaborately engraved stone palette showing a human hand and rattlesnakes was found at Moundville, Alabama. Again, let that sink in. Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. It was an impressive 20-foot-high packed clay pyramid, the New World's 3rd largest pyramid. In terms of mass, it was surpassed only by the Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan. Again, only surpassed by the Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan. And this was discovered after the fact. It was at least as large and possibly larger than the Huaca del Sol in Peru at the city of Moshe. All but the 9 or 10 largest pyramids had been damaged as a result of modern farming practices. Of Cahokia's more than 120 mounds, only about half remain. The 45 mounds of the East St. Louis group just south and west of the main group were all destroyed, as were the 26 pyramids formerly on the western bank of the Mississippi River in St. Louis. The last and biggest of the St. Louis monuments was what was called Big Mound, came down just after the Civil War. Even Cahokia's Great Central Pyramid, Monk's Mound, the largest such monument in North America, with a total volume in excess of 25 million cubic feet and covering approximately 15 acres. We're talking humongous. We're talking big mound town. Let's go. Monk's Mound is shown on this early 20th century postcard. The gate in front of the mound is now gone, and the road is wider. In the East St. Louis group, there was an earthen barn even bigger than the big mound, the 40-foot high cemetery mound. The pyramids trailed off to the north-northwest along the banks of Cahokia Creek. The second largest of the lot, in fact, at 40 feet high, like its East St. Louis counterpart. From the summit of this tumulus mound, later named the Powell Mound. Unfortunately, archaeologists cannot be very certain as to how well the ethnic groups and language families of today translate into the identities and migration waves of the past, they say. They don't have a clue who these people were. They're just trying to connect the dots. What we do here is we stay in check and we searching for the Melchizedek. We just following the drinking gourd. Following the drinking gourd. We're talking James Adair, who witnessed the Choctaw, Chickasaw, and Muskogee peoples playing a so-called game called Chunky. Adair is so-called swarthy and also a proponent that the American Indians were a lost tribe of Israel. I cannot make this up. We're talking Chunky Town here. Just connecting the dots. Tuckabatchee, Tecumseh stomps down every house in Tuckabatchee Town. Come on, we're talking Chunky Town, man. Let's go. Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. The game Sticks and Stones, moreover, reaffirmed the relationship between the sexes, even as they reflected the cosmos. Adults understood it to be a virtual sexual act. Thus, Chunky was also linked to certain creation and rebirth stories. The rolling chunky stone itself was sometimes specifically likened to the sun, moving across the daytime sky, reflecting the belief that the cosmos was in a constant motion, balance between two extremes, male and female, day and night, sky and earth, life and death. As if to accentuate the idea that Chunky was a microcosm of the greater cosmos, crosses were occasionally engraved on Chunky discs, representing the four directions or quarters of the universe. An engraved shell gorget showing woodpecker heads surrounding a cross and circle design, said to be from Mississippi. Again, I cannot make this up. We're talking cross and circle design. Talking the four directions. Thunderbirds. Eye motifs were also engraved on some, so the stones might have been likened to the great supernatural eye of a creator god, a heavenly thunderbird deity. We're talking the guardians of the gates of Israel. Such eyes were featured in many works of art depicting masculine heroes or gods with a little g, and rolling heads were the central characters of some indigenous stories. We're talking thunderbirds here, birds of prey, such as this copper plate from Mound City in Ohio. We're talking copper plates, birds of prey. Episode number 48, The Most High is Great. The same is true of other southern towns, including Angel in Indiana, Moundville in Alabama, Tawassee in Missouri, made from stones available around the greater Cahokia region. In fact, no local varieties of chunky stones have been found in the northern states of Wisconsin, Iowa, or Minnesota. A few may have been secreted away, as Adair noted. One such stone was found in a far-off South Carolina, and another was buried with the honored dead at the Spiro site in Oklahoma. Again, we're talking Beaver Dam Creek, Moundville, Alabama, Spiro, Oklahoma, Angel, Indiana, come on, Cahokia, Snodgrass, Aztalan. The list goes on. All this suggests to archaeologists a clear connection. There is also a linguistic reason to think that this historical connection might be real. The Sioux-speaking Mandan called the game Chunky, named after the game Sticks. The Choctaw people of Alabama and Mississippi also originally knew the game as Chunky. The same is true for the Muskegon-speaking peoples of Georgia, who called the game Chunky, while their counterparts in South Carolina called it Chinko. Out west, the Pawnee called the game without stone rollers Jaha or Jah-Hey, and the Dakota Haka or Panyanka Ishu. But saying these words aloud, Chunky, Chinko, Jah-Hey, Haka, reveals their phonetic similarities and suggests a common origin. The branches of the phonetic tree have a common trunk. Evidence points to Cahokia as that trunk. A boon to American archaeology, Roosevelt's teams of Work Progress Administration diggers. So, again, imagine a whole governmental group being created strictly to dig up mounds. Let that sink in. We're talking Spiro in Oklahoma, Macon Plateau, and Irene in Georgia, Hiwassee Island in Tennessee. They dug into a remnant of a small period on the main plaza, a mound later destroyed by the 1940s subdivision. The most experienced WPA excavators, called trowelmen, performed the exacting work of digging burials in the western Kentucky shell heaps. Look at this. Let me know what you think, man. Let me know what's going on here. So it came to pass that St. Louis would once again be a gateway, this time for Eisenhower's highway system. Not one but 5 interstate highways were planned to pass through some portion of the Mound City and the opposing Mississippi River bottoms. By 1960, an army of road graders were driving into the ancient city from the east, clearing land and leveling the terrain for Eisenhower's new highways. Again, we got these heathens or troublemakers, just standing on the mound, horse and buggy people. The big mound is St. Louis, once nicknamed Mound City, flattened in 1869. A small part of central Cahokia was state-owned, but the highway and right-of-ways was threatened with destruction. In the late 1950s, there were no laws to protect even the most significant of archaeological sites, but since Cahokia's central precinct was already in the Illinois State Park, Highway Department engineers laid out the new interstate alignment just north of Monk's Mound, placing much of the highway in a low-lying ancient lake bed with an east-west orientation. Here we see the twin mounds that define the southern edge of the main plaza, yet are still dwarfed by Monk's Mounds opposite of them. Just west of Monk's Mound, and were designated tracks 15A and 15B, off-ramps and an overpass were planned to tie into the main 4-lane highway under construction in the ancient lake bed. That highway in turn would slice through the middle of one of Cahokia's principal plazas and chop through the northern quarter of a pyramid that projected into the highway right away. So again, we're building highways and parks and subdivisions. Come on, man. I can't make this up. Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. On track 15B, 300 yards west of Monk's Mound, there was a great circular rotunda, a public council house or meeting hall, measuring some 80 feet in diameter. On the same spot, built an impressive walled compound, complete with circular defense bastions along its curtain walls, plastered over with clay and painted red. Mound B is one of the largest mounds at Moundville. This is how it appeared in 1935. So again, they're just building around it, or on top of it, or through it. I mean, you tell me. They've discovered some huge circular monument, something like Stonehenge, they say. At Cahokia was an American Indian Astronomical Observatory. Tracked 15A wood hen constructions whose number of posts varied in multiples of 12, right? We're just talking the 12 tribes of Israel. Multiples of 12, this so-called wood hinge was a calendar device, the largest with 72 posts arranged in a circle that measured 420 feet in diameter, had also been used by Cahokians to track the movements of the sun. Again, we're talking wood hinge here. Cahokia. In them, Holder explained the discovery as a case of human sacrifice, they say, followed by a commemorative disposal of all the bones from one or more ancestral temples. This was an honored burial, he believed, as the pregnant woman had been wearing rare copper-covered ear ornaments, known as ear spools, and the entire lot was showered in seashells and seashell jewelry. We're talking about them Naga pearls here. Rare copper-covered ear ornaments. This is what several large pits in Cahokia's Mound 72 contain the skeletons of sacrificial victims who were packed closely together. So they say. Rights were reckoned through the female, not the male bloodline. In such matrilineal societies, only the relatives of the mothers counted as one's kin. A leader or ruler who inherited an office would do so typically by virtue of his or her mother's blood connection to a prominent family. What did Isaac tell to Jacob? You better not go marrying none of them Canaanite women. Again, man, it's a bloodline here. We're just staying in check, searching for the Melchizedek. The mass interment in the junkyard mound, it seemed, could have included all the members past and present of a single bloodline, including both the ancestors, whose bundled bones were piled on the floor, and the female primaries, who might have been the mothers to possible family heirs. Come on, man, connect the dots here. We're just following the drinking gourd. Nothing like this had been found before in North America. Man, we're going to leave it right there on episode number 48. The Most High is great. We're talking matrilineal bloodlines.